If you are over 60 and dealing with bloating, stomach pain, or digestive problems that just will not go away, your gut lining is probably trying to tell you something. You have probably already tried antacids or probiotics and still felt the same. Certain vegetables can actually help repair your gut lining, and you might not know which ones yet. Today, we are going through exactly which ones and how to eat them. Before we get into it, drop your age in the comments and tell us how long you have been dealing with gut or digestive problems. We read every comment, and it helps us know what to cover next. Number 8. Spinach. You probably already know spinach is good for you. You might think of it for iron or building strength. But what it does specifically for your gut lining is something you have probably never heard explained, and the research behind it came out of Johns Hopkins, which is not a small finding. Spinach contains a specific type of sugar that feeds the beneficial bacteria living along your gut lining. These bacteria are not just sitting there doing nothing. They produce a protective layer that coats the inside of your gut and keeps it sealed. When that layer thins out, which happens naturally after 60, food particles and bacteria start slipping through the gut wall into the bloodstream. That is what triggers the bloating, cramping, and inflammation that so many seniors deal with daily. The sugar in spinach essentially feeds the workers who maintain that protective layer. More of the right bacteria means a thicker, healthier lining. The Johns Hopkins research specifically found that leafy greens containing this compound were among the most effective foods for maintaining gut lining integrity in aging adults. After 60, your gut lining naturally loses some of its thickness. The bacteria that maintain it also start to decline if you are not actively feeding them. Spinach gives them exactly what they need to keep doing their job. A man in his late 60s had been dealing with stomach discomfort after almost every meal for 2 years. He added a handful of fresh spinach to his lunch every day, sometimes in a salad, sometimes wilted into eggs. Within 3 weeks, his after-meal discomfort had reduced noticeably. He said the change was so simple he almost did not believe it was the spinach. Eat spinach fresh or lightly steamed. Raw spinach in a salad works well. Wilted into scrambled eggs is another easy way to get it daily. Aim for a good handful, at least 5 days a week, and pair it with a little olive oil to help your body absorb the nutrients. Number 7. Leeks. You might walk right past leeks in the grocery store because they just look like a bigger version of green onions. But for gut lining repair, leeks are one of the most underrated vegetables you can eat, and the research behind them is solid. Leeks are packed with a type of fiber called inulin. Inulin is what researchers call a prebiotic, which means it is not digested by your body directly. Instead, it travels all the way to your colon where the bacteria living along your gut lining feed on it. When they break it down, they produce short-chain fatty acids. And short-chain fatty acids are essentially the fuel that the cells of your gut lining run on. Without enough of them, those cells weaken, the lining gets thinner, and the problems start. If your diet includes a lot of packaged or processed foods, you are probably not getting nearly enough prebiotic fiber. Those foods have very little of it. So, the bacteria that maintain your gut lining are essentially being starved. After 60, the gut lining is already under more pressure than it was when you were younger. Stomach acid decreases, digestion slows, and the bacterial balance shifts. Adding a consistent source of prebiotic fiber, like leeks, helps counteract all of that by giving the right bacteria what they need to thrive and do their repair work. A woman in her early 70s had chronic bloating that her doctor could not find a clear cause for. She started adding leeks to her soups and stir-fries a few times a week. 2 months later, she told her daughter the bloating had mostly disappeared, and she was not sure why until she connected it to the dietary change. Chop leeks and cook them into soups, stir-fries, or omelets. They have a mild onion-like flavor that works with almost anything. 2 or 3 servings a week is enough to make a meaningful difference for your gut lining. Number 6. Sweet potatoes. You might eat sweet potatoes every now and then as a healthy carb, but the reason they are on this list has nothing to do with their vitamins or their color. It is about what happens in your gut after you eat them. Sweet potatoes are rich in soluble fiber, specifically a type that ferments slowly in your colon. As it ferments, it produces the same short-chain fatty acids that leeks produce. These fatty acids are the primary energy source for the cells that make up your gut lining. Think of them as the food your gut wall eats to stay strong and intact. Research on gut health consistently points to short-chain fatty acid production as one of the most important factors in maintaining a healthy gut lining. When production drops, the lining weakens. When it is consistently high, the lining stays thick and sealed the way it is supposed to be. Sweet potatoes also have anti-inflammatory compounds that help calm the irritation in the gut that leads to pain and cramping, so they are doing two things at once: feeding the lining repair process and reducing the inflammation that is causing discomfort in the first place. After 60, digestion slows and the gut lining has less capacity to repair itself quickly. Sweet potatoes give it the raw materials to keep up with that repair work, even as the natural process slows down. A retired teacher in her late 60s had been told she had a sensitive stomach for years. She started eating half a baked sweet potato with dinner a few nights a week. Within a month, her digestive discomfort had improved more than it had from any supplement she had tried. Bake or steam sweet potatoes and eat them with the skin on. The skin contains additional fiber that adds to the gut benefit. Avoid loading them with butter or sugar, which works against what you were trying to do for your gut. Number 5. Beets. Beets are one of those vegetables you either love or have never really tried. But if you are dealing with gut pain or digestive problems, beets deserve a place on your plate, and the reason might surprise you. Beets contain compounds called betalains, which are the pigments that give them their deep red color. Betalains are powerful anti-inflammatory agents that research has found specifically reduce inflammation in the gut lining. When your gut lining is inflamed, it cannot absorb nutrients properly, it sends pain signals, and it becomes more permeable, meaning more things leak through that should not. Betalains help bring that inflammation down so the lining can start functioning and repairing properly. Beets also contain a good amount of fiber that feeds gut bacteria and supports the microbiome diversity that healthy gut lining maintenance depends on. The combination of anti-inflammatory compounds and prebiotic fiber makes them particularly effective for seniors dealing with chronic gut discomfort. After 60, gut inflammation tends to be more persistent because the immune system is less precise in how it responds. The anti-inflammatory compounds in beets give the gut direct support that the aging immune system struggles to provide on its own. A man in his mid-60s had dealt with on and off gut pain for years, especially after eating. He started adding roasted beets to his meals 2 or 3 times a week. After about 6 weeks, he noticed the frequency of his gut pain episodes had dropped significantly. He said he wished someone had told him about beets years earlier. Roast beets in the oven with a little olive oil, or add them raw and grated to salads. You can also blend them into smoothies if you do not enjoy the texture. Aim for 2 to 3 servings a week to get a consistent anti-inflammatory effect on your gut lining. Number 4. Broccoli. Broccoli is probably the most talked about healthy vegetable there is. You have likely heard about it for cancer prevention or vitamins, but what it does for your gut lining specifically is a different story and one that is backed by solid research. Broccoli contains compounds that, when broken down during digestion, produce a substance that directly supports the integrity of the gut lining. Research has shown that regular broccoli consumption leads to measurable improvements in the tight junctions between gut lining cells. Tight junctions are essentially the seals between the cells that line your gut. When they weaken, the gut becomes leaky, and things that should stay inside start getting through into the bloodstream, triggering inflammation and pain throughout the body. When those junctions are strong, the lining stays intact and does its job properly. Broccoli also improves the overall diversity of the gut microbiome, which is directly connected to how well the gut lining maintains and repairs itself. More diverse gut bacteria means a more resilient gut lining that can handle the daily wear and tear of digestion. After 60, those tight junctions naturally start to loosen. The gut becomes more permeable, and things that should stay inside the gut start getting through. Broccoli actively helps counteract that process by supporting the structural integrity of the lining at a cellular level. A woman in her early 70s had been experiencing what she described as a constantly unsettled stomach. She started eating broccoli 3 or 4 times a week, lightly steamed. Her gastroenterologist noted significant improvement in her gut inflammation markers at her next checkup and asked what she had changed. Steam broccoli lightly for 3 to 4 minutes. Do not overcook it. Overcooking destroys many of the compounds that make it beneficial for the gut. Chop it first and let it sit for a few minutes before cooking to activate its beneficial compounds before the heat gets to them. Number 3. Garlic. You probably already cook with garlic, but you most likely do not think of it as something that can help your gut lining. What garlic does specifically to the gut bacteria environment is genuinely impressive and goes well beyond what you would normally expect from a kitchen ingredient. Garlic contains prebiotic fiber plus additional compounds that have been shown to selectively target and reduce harmful bacteria in the gut while leaving the beneficial bacteria untouched. This is significant because an overgrowth of harmful bacteria is one of the main things that damages the gut lining over time. It triggers inflammation, disrupts the protective mucus layer, and eventually leads to the pain and digestive problems that become chronic and hard to shake. By reducing harmful bacteria and feeding the beneficial ones, garlic essentially rebalances the gut environment. And a balanced gut environment is one where the lining can repair and maintain itself properly without constantly being under attack. After 60, the balance between good and bad bacteria in the gut tends to shift in the wrong direction. Stress, medications, processed food, and the natural aging of the digestive system all contribute to that shift. Garlic is one of the most accessible and well-researched ways to push that balance back toward healthy. A senior woman who had been on antibiotics twice in 1 year came out of it with significant gut discomfort and irregular digestion. Her gut bacteria had been disrupted. She started cooking with 2 to 3 cloves of fresh garlic daily. Within 2 months, her digestion had largely normalized and her gut discomfort had eased considerably. Use fresh garlic rather than garlic powder. Chop or crush it and let it sit for 10 minutes before cooking. That waiting period activates the beneficial compounds before heat breaks them down. Add it to almost anything: soups, vegetables, eggs, sauces. Number 2. Artichoke. Artichoke is probably not something you eat regularly. It feels like a fancy restaurant vegetable or something too complicated to prepare at home. But for gut lining repair, artichoke is one of the most powerful vegetables you can eat, and it is much easier to get into your routine than you might think. Artichoke has one of the highest concentrations of prebiotic fiber of any vegetable. It feeds the bacteria that produce the short-chain fatty acids that fuel your gut lining cells more effectively than almost anything else you can put on your plate. Research specifically studying the effect of artichoke on gut health found that regular consumption led to significant increases in the beneficial bacteria most associated with gut lining integrity. Artichoke also contains compounds that support bile production, which is essential for digesting fats properly. Poor fat digestion is a common cause of the bloating and discomfort that seniors mistake for other gut problems. By improving bile flow, artichoke helps the whole digestive process run more smoothly, which takes pressure off the gut lining. After 60, both prebiotic fiber intake and bile production tend to drop. Artichoke addresses both at the same time, which makes it particularly valuable for seniors dealing with chronic digestive problems. A man in his late 60s had tried multiple supplements and dietary changes for his chronic bloating with limited success. His nutritionist suggested adding canned artichoke hearts to his diet a few times a week. Within 6 weeks, his bloating had reduced more than anything else he had tried. He said he could not believe a vegetable had done what months of supplements could not. Canned artichoke hearts in water are easy to find and require no preparation. Add them to salads, pasta, or eat them on their own with olive oil and lemon. Fresh artichokes steamed are even more potent, but the canned version works well for daily use. Aim for 2 to 3 servings a week. Number 1. Asparagus. Asparagus tops this list, and if you are not eating it regularly, this is the reason to start. The research on what asparagus specifically does for the gut lining in adults over 60 is more targeted than almost any other vegetable on this list. Asparagus contains a very high concentration of prebiotic fiber, even higher than leeks or garlic. But what makes asparagus stand out is that it combines that prebiotic fiber with anti-inflammatory compounds and a specific amino acid that supports the regeneration of gut lining cells directly. It is not just feeding the bacteria that maintain the lining. It is also giving the cells that make up the lining the building blocks they need to repair themselves. Research on asparagus and gut health found that it specifically increases the population of bacteria most associated with producing the short-chain fatty acids that gut lining cells depend on to stay strong and intact. For seniors dealing with chronic digestive problems, that combination of effects is hard to match with any other single vegetable. After 60, gut lining cells regenerate more slowly than they did when you were younger. They need more support to keep up with the natural wear and repair cycle. Asparagus gives them the prebiotic fuel, the anti-inflammatory support, and the direct cellular building blocks to do that job more effectively. A woman in her early 70s had been living with what her doctor called irritable bowel symptoms for years. She added asparagus to her meals 4 times a week, steamed or roasted. After 2 months, her symptoms had improved to the point where she described her gut as feeling normal for the first time in years. Steam or roast asparagus with a little olive oil. Do not overcook it. It should still have a little firmness when you eat it. 4 servings a week is the target. If fresh asparagus is not available, frozen asparagus retains most of its beneficial properties and works just as well. Now you have the full list: spinach, leeks, sweet potatoes, beets, broccoli, garlic, artichoke, and asparagus. All of them working in different ways to repair and maintain your gut lining. Some feed the bacteria that protect it, some fuel the cells that make it up, some reduce the inflammation that breaks it down, and some do all 3 at the same time. Together, they give your gut everything it needs to start healing. You do not need to eat all 8 every day. Pick 2 or 3 that feel easy to add this week and build from there. Your gut responds to consistent small changes, and you may start noticing a difference within a few weeks of eating these regularly. The key is consistency, not perfection. A few of these vegetables most days is far more powerful than eating all 8 once and then going back to your usual routine. And if you have been dealing with gut pain or digestive problems for a long time, be patient with the process. The gut lining does not repair overnight, but it does repair when you give it what it needs consistently. Now we want to hear from you. Have you tried any of these vegetables for your gut? Which one surprised you the most, or which one are you going to add to your meals this week? Share your experience in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you found this helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe so you never miss what we cover next. Thanks for watching.